What happens when you put Bernie Sanders in a room full of Trump voters?
I was shocked. I was like, oh.
Not as bad as they had told you, huh?
This is not how he's portrayed.
It's complicated. But then again, so is West Virginia.
This is West, by God, Virginia.
A state that voted blue for almost 80 years straight until it flipped hard to become the second reddest state in the country.
This is a state where Donald Trump got 70%.
Really?
September's been a real doozy in the political sphere, and that truly is saying something these days. But if anything good has come from any of it, and that is a big if, it's that the political lines that have been so staunchly drawn for us have become slightly more blurred. And the OG of blurred political lines is none other than Bernie Sanders, the Democratic Socialist senator who has been barking the same message for the better part of, 50 years? And he's garnered so much support for his message over the years that he's appealed to people on both sides of the political aisle.
West Virginia currently has 4 members of Congress. We're down from 5 recently. Not one of them is willing to come here and do what you're doing, so I want to say thank you. I know that they're not willing to come here and meet with us because I have called every single office, their state offices, the DC offices, and they're not willing to come here. That's not on their agenda. It's not on their plan. And so my question is, as a member of Congress, what can we do aside from calling and writing letters and begging to be scheduled for meetings? I've never felt more powerless in my entire life. And that's saying something because I'm a native of Southern West Virginia and we're historically just a forgotten people.
The answer is not an easy answer. But the answer, and by the way, one of the reasons I'm here in Mingo County is I remember a little bit of my American history and the struggles that your miners fought here. So they were fighting oligarchy way back when. And then some of them lost their lives in that struggle. Look, to answer your question, in my view, is you need a political revolution in this country. And what does that mean? It means that we need to start electing people who are accountable and from the working class rather than people who are busy raising money from billionaires.
When Bernie lost the Democratic presidential nomination to Hillary Clinton in 2016, many Bernie supporters didn't cave and just vote for Clinton. Instead, they voted for Trump, and at the time, many of us, myself included, couldn't understand how or why. The messages that were being preached and the political agendas that were being promoted by these two men couldn't have been more different. But we have since come to understand that people liked Bernie for his authenticity and for his unwillingness to toe the established party line by sanitizing his overall message to the point of ineffectuality. People saw those same traits in Trump. Bernie's message also put the American voter, not the party, not the elites, at the very top of his list of priorities. What a concept. And his policy proposals always sought to actually benefit the voters and tangibly, meaningfully improve their lives. People heard those same messages from Trump's platform. However, it turned out that Trump's populism was all a front, from having to bail out the farmers who suffered as a direct result of his bad faith policies, to raising taxes on the lowest income individuals while lowering them for the elites, to tariffing the entire planet, knowing that it would raise cost of living expenses for the average American consumer. It seems as though there was very little that Trump did to benefit the people of his own country. His approval rating is the lowest this country has ever seen, but even still, he manages to appease his voting base by fomenting and engaging in culture wars. He maintains the illusion that he is keeping them safe from enemies that he has told them are coming after them. He distracts them with wild social media posts in the hopes that they will stop asking for the Epstein files that he had once promised them. He lies to them constantly, and for some reason, they still believe all of his lies. But you have to wonder if they just cling to Trump so desperately because if they let go, they will have no one else in whom to place their faith. They will feel truly hopeless and helpless, as if no one is looking out for them anymore. And that is a feeling that is so scary that you almost can't blame people for not wanting to entertain it. Of course, I'm not talking about the actually hateful people who love the idea of excluding people, certain groups of people, from the American systems and ideologies that have so long defined this nation and culture. I'm talking about everyday Americans who are just concerned about finding decent work and feeding their families and educating their children and having access to healthcare and clean air and clean drinking water. So could Bernie Sanders be the guy that they flip back to? The so-called radical leftists who revived a socialist movement in this country despite being demonized and kneecapped by members of his own party? Well, a new documentary suggests that that might be the case. Bernie Sanders, according to a documentary from More Perfect Union, I'm sure you're all familiar with them, follows Bernie as he blazes a trail through West Virginia, coal country and Trump country. And when Senator Sanders sat down with these everyday Trump voters, they found themselves surprisingly agreeing with his message, finding comfort in his humanity, and understanding how Trump's policies have not helped them and how Bernie's would, or, let's not get ahead of ourselves, could. And we saw something similar happen here in Texas back in 2018 when Beto O'Rourke, who at the time was considered to be a radical leftist, especially here in Texas, was running to unseat Republican Senator Ted Cruz. Beto came less than 3 points away from beating Cruz, which on its own is unheard of. But he did it by visiting every single county in Texas, not just the safe Democratic counties. He visited every deep red, rural, Trump-loving county in this giant state that's 254 counties. And once people actually listened to what he was proposing on their behalf, they voted for him. Texas Dems ran a centrist Colin Allred 6 years later, and his results were significantly less stellar or impressive. He's running again for John Cornyn's seat this time, and honestly, I'm not really sure why. One of the reasons why progressive policies always sound so good is because they are people-focused. The policies sound so good, in fact, that those opposed to those people-centric policies have to actively discredit progressives as people and as a movement to prevent others from even entertaining those policies in the first place. Of course, this isn't a left versus right argument. The Democrats actively discredit leftist, progressive politicians and political ideologies. They arguably do more harm to progressives than Republicans do. The Republicans just call us radical because, God forbid, we want people to have health care. Let's not dance around this, though. Bernie Sanders is currently 84 years old. He should not be working this hard still. He shouldn't. He can't be the sole hope of the left. Where is his bench? There are those in Congress and those fighting to get into Congress who could maybe one day be a Bernie-like figure, but as of now, we don't have anyone who commands a kind of respect or generates the kind of energy and excitement that Bernie does. And I believe that person, or more ideally those people, are out there. It's a heavy ask. We're looking for people who can't be bought, who are intelligent and eloquent enough to convey a complex message to the common man, who understands the things that they don't know, who fight for the underdog and operate with a strong moral compass. I'm not asking for infallibility either. I'm not expecting to love everything they say all of the time. I don't love everything Bernie says all of the time, but I am asking for consistency, at the very least, in the efforts that one makes to constantly do and be better and to do better for their fellow man. So let's find those people, and then once we find them, let's give them the money and the resources to actually run and win their political campaigns. No big deal, guys. We can do it. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.